You are the end of the longest, bloodiest winning streak in history. Across thousands of generations, not one of your ancestors died before passing on life. Not through the ice, not the plagues, not the armies sent to erase them. Every single one won the only game that ever mattered. Survive and make the next link in the chain. A streak that long has never once been broken, and it runs all the way down to you. So let me show you exactly who you came from. This is you. Behind you stands your father. Behind him, his. Keep rewinding. You blow past powdered wigs, past iron armor, past woolly mammoths, until you crash into a filthy man crouched in the mud, gnawing on a beetle, just hoping to outlast the night. That ragged stranger? He is your great-great-grandfather, 1,000 times over. He owns no name you'd recognize, no shoes, and absolutely no clue that someday a descendant of his would binge snacks and panic when the coffee runs out. But here's the part that should keep you up at night. If that man, or any one of the thousands of people stacked behind you in that chain, had slipped at the wrong second, caught a fever, become lunch for something with teeth, or just never found a mate, the whole line snaps. And poof, you evaporate. You're sitting here right now only because 1,000 people who should have died somehow refused to. That's not luck. That's a relay race run through fire, where every single runner had to survive the unsurvivable and pass the baton. So let's count down just how many times the universe came within an inch of erasing you before you ever drew breath. 5 chapters of human history ranked from rough but livable all the way down to congratulations, you were basically extinct. Let's begin. Number 5. The Ice Age. Rewind about 20,000 years to the last glacial maximum, when the planet was, to put it gently, trying to kill everything on it. Sheets of ice up to 2 miles thick crushed down over most of North America, Europe, and Asia. The average global temperature plunged roughly 10 degrees Fahrenheit, about 6 Celsius, which doesn't sound like much until you realize it transformed half the world into a frozen desert, where food was less a meal and more a legend. Daily survival meant not freezing solid overnight, stalking woolly mammoths the size of a city bus, and politely sprinting away from cave lions, some of the largest big cats that ever lived. Home was a hut built from mammoth bones or a damp cave you shared with 40 relatives you couldn't stand. Your wardrobe was animal skin sewn together with needles carved from bone. And dinner? Best of luck, friend. Your weapon is a pointy stick and your prey weighs 6 tons and wants you dead. And if the cold and the hunger didn't finish you, a tiny infected scratch finished the job because antibiotics didn't exist, hospitals didn't exist, and your entire medical plan was chewing a random leaf and praying. And yet, somehow, our species didn't just cling on, it leveled up, forging tools, taming fire, and painting the walls of caves with the first art humanity ever made. Number 4. The dawn of agriculture. Roll forward to around 10,000 years ago, when some bright spark had a thought that would torture every generation after him. Picture 2 exhausted hunters. One groans, "I cannot chase one more mammoth, my legs are done." The other says, "What if we made the food come to us?" We stop wandering, we plant things in one spot, and we wait. Genius, right? Welcome to farming, otherwise known as the day humans accidentally made life dramatically worse. People traded the roaming hunter's life for permanent villages, sowing wheat, barley, and lentils. Clever in theory? In practice, it opened the floodgates to a brand new collection of nightmares. Crowding everyone together meant disease could finally travel from person to person like a spark in dry grass. Diets nosedived, less protein, more deficiencies, and teeth that quietly rotted out of people's skulls. And we haven't even gotten to crop failure. One drought, one swarm of locusts, one freak flood, and your whole settlement starved while shaking its fists at an indifferent sky. We know all this because archaeologists keep digging up ancient skeletons riddled with malnutrition, anemia, and dental ruin so grim it makes a modern dentist weep. Number 3. The Mongol invasions. If you were unlucky enough to be alive in the 13th century and spotted a wall of dust rising on the horizon, you had roughly 3 minutes to make peace with your gods before your hometown became an empty field. Under Genghis Khan, a man who treated mercy as a foreign concept, the Mongols stitched together the largest land empire the world has ever seen, sprawling from the coast of China all the way to Eastern Europe. The playbook was simple. Arrive without warning, strike with overwhelming force, and leave nothing breathing behind you. Whole cities were scrubbed off the map, their people put to the sword, and any survivors occasionally got herded forward as living shields in the next assault. Mongol horse archers could plant an arrow in you from 300 yards out while thundering along at a full gallop, basically inventing fast mobile warfare centuries before anyone dreamed of a tank. Historians put the death toll of these campaigns at somewhere near 10% of every human being alive at the time. And remember, the global population back then was already a fraction of what it is now. Number 2, the Black Death. In 1347, Europe received a delivery it never ordered, shipped in from Central Asia by an army of extremely committed fleas, and the continent unraveled almost overnight. The Black Death, the bubonic plague, ripped through towns like a fire through straw, driven by a bacterium that hitched rides on rats, on fleas, and on people who had, let's say, a relaxed relationship with bathing. Once it arrived, living through it was pure lottery. A handshake could doom you. A shared cup could doom you. Breathing the same stale air as a sick stranger could doom you. The symptoms read like a horror script: swollen black lumps at the neck and groin, raging fever, vomiting blood, and then, with grim reliability, death, often within a matter of days. Estimates say it erased somewhere between 30 and 60% of Europe's entire population in just a handful of years. Villages were left to rot, economies imploded, and physicians wandered the streets in beaked bird masks stuffed with dried flowers, because apparently smelling pleasant was the cutting edge of medieval science. Number 1. The Toba supervolcano. Around 74,000 years ago, the Toba supervolcano detonated and very nearly hit the delete button on our entire species. When it blew, it hurled more than 670 cubic miles of ash and rock into the atmosphere, enough debris to bury the whole of the United States. The blast plunged the world into a volcanic winter so brutal that the sun was smothered for somewhere between 6 and 10 years straight. Global temperatures collapsed by as much as 27 degrees Fahrenheit, about 15 Celsius. Plants shriveled, animals dropped dead, and ecosystems caved in across every continent. For early humans who were already scraping for enough calories just to wake up the next morning, this was the end of the world made real. The food vanished. Green landscapes turned to frozen wasteland. Rivers ran dry. Forests became silent graveyards. By the best estimates, the total number of humans left alive crashed to fewer than 3,000 individuals. That's a genetic bottleneck so unbelievably narrow that nearly every person breathing today descends from that tiny, desperate band of survivors. No crops, no animals, no sunlight, no second chances. Picture spending your whole life in cold and darkness, your stomach hollow, never sure whether today is the last day any human being will ever watch the sunrise, and still, somehow, against odds that defy belief, a few stubborn, half-starved people simply refuse to lie down and die. You exist because they didn't quit when the entire planet seemed to be quitting on them. Every freeze, every plague, every charging army, every dark and starving year, your bloodline walked straight through it and kept walking. So the next time an ordinary, comfortable, boring Tuesday feels like too much, remember the impossible gauntlet that had to be run for you to be standing here at all. You are not an accident. You are the prize at the end of the longest, bloodiest winning streak in history. If that gave you a little chill, do the one thing natural selection never could, and subscribe to Paint Lore, because there are 1,000 more stories about how close we all came to never existing, and we are only just getting started.